Well, yeah, let's maybe, okay, that was, I guess, a bit more broad, but maybe let's double click down more into the tech side of things. And one thing I've been thinking a lot about, when I just wrote an article in Canadian Mortgage Trends on this, actually, was just about kind of just like the frustration around tech that exists, right? And I don't know if you feel this or see this, but I feel like there's kind of like two worlds brokers live in terms of tech. There's like the techie person who is like, I've implemented every piece of tech and I love it and I couldn't live without it and blah, blah, blah. You know how that story goes. And maybe I'm probably guilty of that. And then there's the other side, which is I've been told I got to do tech. I've tried to do it. I can't do it. I'm not a tech person. It's frustrating to me. And it's kind of like an interesting thing because, those people are still obviously very competitive with their business. It's not like because of their inability to maybe do all these tech things, they've just been competed out of the business. They still have great businesses. And I think that's probably just because they have great relationships with their clients. But I guess more just taking a step back of how do you see the same dynamic, and what kind of, in your mind, explains that, I guess? Like, why do we have these two different camps? Is there like a single reason, or is it a bunch of things? What's kind of your thinking on that?
I think honestly, it just comes down to personal preference. I know
Okay.
that I have to live in a tech world. Do I like my notepad and paper? Yes, I do. I
Okay.
force myself to live in both worlds because of my job. But
Like
I
when
think
you
more
say
than
me,
anything,
are you saying like yourself? Like,
personally,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Okay.
I have a notebook. I'm not going to lie to you. It's beside me every
Yeah,
day.
so
It's
do
a pen
I.
and paper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do
it's a
too.
pen and paper notebook.
Yeah, I do too.
But we both live in the
Yeah.
tech world, and knowing that we have to be adaptable. We have to be adaptable, you and I, because of the industry that we're in for our
Mm.
careers. Brokers don't have to be adaptable and live in both
Why not?
worlds,
Why not?
because the ones that don't live in the tech world have those great relationships. And to your point, have a super successful business without living in a complete automated, entirely tech world.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think that's, so it's kind of just the nature of the industry, right? Where it's like, okay, tech is good. It can give you like a little bit of a boost, but it's not like essential, right? It's not like, hey, I'm going to fail if I don't have that. Do you feel that's going to change anytime in the future? Like, do you feel that's always going to be the case? How do you feel like, I guess, as you look forward, like, is that, for any broker who feels like, because I think there's also some anxiety, I guess, people in that second camp are like, okay, I haven't implemented tech. I feel fine. Like I still have a great business, but I keep getting told every conference I go to, every presentation that I sit in, it's people telling me, I got to do tech. I got to do tech. I got to do tech just to survive, right? Just to survive in this industry. And I guess that's just the extension of the thought is, do you think that's true, right? Is that going to be with AI or all these different things that we keep hearing about? People will be forced to do it or not necessarily? What's kind of your thinking on that?
I don't think they'll be forced to do it. I think you're
Yeah.
just naturally going to see people gravitate to that first camp more, and that second camp will naturally get smaller. I don't
Small.
think
Yeah.
I don't
Just,
think you're going to
yeah.
force people to do it. If they haven't done it and their business is successful, then it's a pretty hard argument to say you have to do it
Yeah.
to be successful when you're already successful. I think
Yeah.
naturally you're just going to see that camp have smaller brokers in it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to be able to maybe scale and grow as much. Sure. And I think another big thing for me, how I think about it is, I think there's a lot of, big tech promises and things like that. But I think often the stumbling point for a lot of people is just like the implementation, like just getting started, right? Like just getting into a
Well,
system. Yeah.
I think if you're a broker currently and you're going to live in one of these two camps
Yeah.
and you need to move to the more tech side of life,
Yeah.
it's hard to take on. It's hard to take on any CRM and have a business. And I've joked before that I have an entire career built off of maintaining CRM systems. It's
That's
unrealistic to
hilarious.
think that a
Yeah.
broker can do it by themselves. So,
Interesting. Yeah.
which is an interesting point. But to your point, if you're a new broker coming into the industry, then only learning the tech side of things isn't a drastic change, because you're learning right from the beginning of this is how it works and this is what you've been taught, and you've been taught that tech is extremely important and you've always thought that way. Then you're never going to live in the camp that had less tech.
Yeah, right. For those people coming in, it's like, I've always just lived in the tech world. When I started my brokerage, I got the things, I got the CRMs, I got all these different things. And so, it's just a natural progression as my business scales.
A great example actually of
Yeah.
that is when I am talking to new clients, we talk to brokers who have been a broker for, let's say, 10 to 12 years, and super important aspect to them that they want to know that we can handle or take over for them is sending birthday cards, sending physical mail out cards, sending their Christmas cards to their database, which we send a astronomical amount every year. And those brokers that have been a broker for years want that, and it's super important to them. When I have a new broker that's been a broker for, let's say, like less than 3 years, and we're talking about other services and how we can help them, it's mind-boggling that we send out almost 20,000 Christmas cards a year.
Wow.
Because who gets physical mail anymore? And if you've always lived in the tech world, you didn't consider...
I just not even like a thought, right?
Putting a stamp on an envelope and sending it.
I honestly wouldn't like know where to even get a stamp. So I'm in that camp maybe. But what's your, maybe just a quick sidebar, because I'm just curious because you brought it up. What's your opinion on that? Like, do you feel that the physical mail is a good lead generating, relationship building thing? Do you feel like it's just maybe an anachronism, like something from an older time? What kind of results do you see when you send out those cards?
I mean, a personal preference, and every broker is going to see a little bit of a different result within their own business. I personally don't love to see a letter be sent.
Okay.
I feel like if you physically think about going to get the mail, that feels like a bill, or it feels like the newspaper, it feels like a flyer. It doesn't really stand out, and it's important to stand out when it comes to marketing. I love a handwritten card, and I love a branded postcard. They stand out. They feel different. We do have a ton of clients that physically mail things, gift cards, lotto tickets. And we don't get those in the mail anymore. So when you get them, I do think it stands out a little bit more, and you're left with like a little bit more of a memory for your client, opposed to a letter that was popped in the recycling bin.
No, that's such a good point. Like the printed mail is just, what does that really accomplish? It's as good as an email. But a quick story there. I talked to someone at the same conference. I think he's a client of yours, and he'll remain unnamed for the purpose of the podcast. But he talked about the scratch cards, where he just said, I spend $5 a year, once a year on their birthday, sent it. And this person came back to me after I lost them to the bank. I just kept sending the lotto tickets. And then 5 years later, they renewed with me, and it was like $1 million mortgage. And it was like, that math's made a lot of sense. It's like the commission.
That math does make a lot of sense.
It's like the commission I made on that is just like...
that's $6 a year.
Oh, yes. Yeah, exactly. Right.
You got to add in the stamp in the card, lotto ticket, $6 or $7.
Yeah, no kidding.
Not bad.